Hello there, and welcome to the Shadow of Mordor, the lore episode. Now, I've been saying quite a few times that I wanted to go through the Codex and basically the nature, the people, the environments, the lore of the game, but I just never found a good timing for it. So, now that we've actually beaten the game, why not give it a nice little send-off and check out for me, the more interesting entries. This is only going to be me going through the lore. There's going to be no gameplay, no anything. So if that's not your game, if that's not your bag, not your cup of tea, which it isn't for everyone, I completely understand, and I wish you a continued good continuation on your day. That didn't come out right. Anywho, that's basically all it's going to be. So, what do I want to know about? I want to know about some monsters here. I want to know about the ghouls. Because I hate them. Know your enemy. These feral nocturnal beasts inhabit, or more accurately, plague, Mordor. They live in damp, fetid places or underground lairs, and only emerge from their nests at night when they swarm in packs to bring down prey. They sure do. Ghouls are carnivorous and not at all picky. They will feast on dead, rotting flesh and innards, or one another if the situation calls for it. They do not speak, but are clever creatures, and their attacks make use of numbers to ensure a foe is overwhelmed. Targets unfortunate enough to be chosen by them are also assaulted by the ghouls' acidic and deadly venom, which the creatures can spit over great distances. Yes, that is what they have done. They've tried to overwhelm us, they've tried to spit at us, they poisoned us quite a few times, but they do go down by a single tackle, which is good. Unfortunately, there are so many of them, so the Wraith Flash, godsend. Also, what is that on your back? Is that just debris? Pieces of armor? From something? I don't know. What about your ghoul matrons? Oh, hello, you're quite big. Ooh. These toxin-spitting ghouls are taller than their brethren, growing up to 9 feet tall. Excuse me. I need to know how much 9 feet is in metric, because that sounds damn tall. I know 6 feet is about 2 meters-ish. So would it be 3.5 meters or so? Let's see. Sorry, I just really want to know. To metric. 9 feet to metric. 2.7 meters, almost 3 meters. Dang. Their size is used primarily to bully and intimidate the lesser ghouls into submission. They serve as the hive leaders for their kind. They also crave blood and living flesh to an extent not seen with the other ghouls, and are constantly driving their minions out of the safety of their disgusting underground lairs, commanding them forth in massed assaults for fresh meat. So they're just called matrons. I don't think they seem to have any genders. They're just the leaders of the pack, and seems to be the only ones who wear loincloth. Man, you look like something straight out of The Witcher. Ugh. So thankful we didn't fight too many of you. We have a few different Graugs here. We have an Olog Graug. Would that be... No, that's an orc. I was gonna say, is that Torvin and his brother? No, those are 2 orcs. The oversized Graug is a nigh unstoppable juggernaut of wanton destruction, crushing and mayhem. These behemoths grow to 15 feet tall or more, and their skin grows tough and leathery, making them extremely resistant to all manners of arrows, bolts, and bladed or blunt weapons. They are feral beasts, naturally combative, highly territorial, and ill-mannered. Graugs are uncommon in Mordor, but do pose a genuine threat to the Uruks, especially when their lairs are encroached upon. Even trolls steer clear of the giant beasts, and when they do not, they tend to die horribly. Sauron has begun to use Graugs to crossbreed powerful hill trolls, scaly monsters able to tolerate even noonday sunlight. Yeah, I don't think we've seen any trolls, because trolls, sunlight, stone. So an Olog Graug is basically the basic Graug. We have we avoided basically all battles with the Graugs. We just pissed one off in one mission somewhere. So what's a Horned Graug? Ooh, do you see the difference? Jeez, the claws, the everything. Oh, you don't even look like a Graug anymore. Horned Graugs are rare and they grow 20 feet in height. Few of these monsters currently exist in the wild and fewer still roam freely in Mordor. I don't think we've seen one because I would have been very scared of a freaking 20 feet. How much is 1 feet in metric? Maybe then I can actually... how about 1 feet to metric? Basically a third of a meter. So 3, 6, 7, 8 meters tall? What the hell? They are feared above all other beasts in Mordor for their size, brute strength, and ferocity. Bringing one of these giants down requires a supreme effort, if indeed it is possible at all, as they are extraordinarily hardy and resistant to all manner of weapons. Their might enables them to claim Mordor's dank, fetid caves as lairs, and they defend these with a single-minded, vicious fury. Yeah. Don't think it matters if you bring up Caragor to this fight. Yeah, you even have something embedded in your skin here. Ooh. So what about the legendary Graug? That's basically what we took down. Just Torvin jumping and hanging off the tusk and then impaling its eye with a chain spike thing. Damn. The legends tell of a Graug towering over all others, a 30-foot tall monstrosity whose shadow covers half of Mordor and can grasp an entire forest in its fist. Freaking 10 meters tall? Get out of here. Perhaps, as those who speak of it have suggested, this is no monster at all, but a demon of stone and fire, a Balrog given flesh. No, I don't think so. If such a monster exists, it would be a magnificent prize for the Uruk war chiefs gathering in Mordor. The Dark Lord knows of its existence and plans to harness it for his armies. A Graug of that size could turn the tide of any battle. Too bad your plans got kinda crushed by a dwarf and a basically dead human. Ungol would be spider. Yep, but these are small spiders. We've been running over these. These are oversized spiders, yes. The evil, intelligent children of this quieter speen, Spider Queen Shelob. While they've taken Nan Ungol, Sindarin for Valley of the Spiders, as their primary home, they've since spread across Mordor, taking residence in its caves and other dark places, and are actively reporting back to their queen. Their nests and lairs are littered with the crushed bones of their prey. They are not afraid to make victims of the encroaching Uruks. The recent stirrings in Mordor have emboldened the Ungol and piqued the curiosity of the Spider Queen, but to what end remains a mystery. I mean, Shelob was pretty big, yeah? How does she lay eggs small enough for these, or are these just actual children's size? Because it feels kind of weird that a spider that immense size, like spider, let's say the spider is this size, and its children are just this size. That doesn't really make much sense. Then I am no biologist. Ooh, the Morgai flies. You look like an annoying little bastard. With Mordor's predilection for unburied corpses, Morgai flies have become a mainstay. Their nests can be found hanging anywhere that might be flesh, and any disturbance sends the insects into a frenzy. When this happens, the malevolent creatures swarm, working in concert with one another, creating a relentless, stinging mass powerful enough to overwhelm even an armor-clad Uruk. The red markings on their back are reminiscent of the blazing eye of Sauron, and these creatures are extensions of his dark spirit. So Sauron hates orcs, and these are basically just the freaking wasps of Mordor. Ugh. Hellhawk? Have we seen these? Mordor's guys have seen their share of sparrows, finches, eagles, falcons, and crows, but the Hellhawk is a relative newcomer. They are smaller cousins to the winged fell beasts in the eyries of Nan Morlith. These carnivorous reptilian creatures fly on leathery wings and use their elongated necks to clear the skies of other flying creatures. And as the Uruks are being bred to ensure dominion over Mordor's land, so are the Hellhawks being created to ensure the Dark Lord's will is exerted over the skies. The Hellhawks patrol the air day and night, guarding against spies, keeping a watch against invasion, and seeking out their master's enemies. Maybe we've seen them in the distance, but I don't think we've actually been in combat with them. I can't remember it in that case. I don't remember it in that case. Mordor rats? They're probably just rats, eh? They're multiplying, always feasted gladly on corpses, but they recently become more daring and begun to attack the weak and the sick. Yeah, so just rats. Though they do kinda look like... Oh... I have the beast in mind, but I can't remember the name of it. Oh, annoying. They look like a beast anyway. Just small. Just a small. Tell me about the Caragors. Now that's Talion, isn't it? The common Caragor is vicious, disgusting, and a relentless killing machine. It is native to Mordor and the realm's top predator. Unless you count the Graugs, I guess. Their powerful legs make them excellent sprinters and fair climbers. Their jaws are powerful enough to snap through bones and cut through all manner of armor. They attack and kill any competing predator, such as wargs, on sight. Orcs have begun to capture and cage these animals, although their attempts to domesticate them as cavalry mounts have been largely unsuccessful. The Caragor has proven remarkably stubborn and resistant to training. Unless you're a dead human inhabiting the ringmaker and can thus dominate them, enslave them to your will. A dire Caragor. Have we seen a dire Caragor? The Caragor, Sindarin for row of teeth and bringer of fear, is the ultimate predator within Mordor, except for the Graugs, having driven every rival species from wargs to lions into extinction within their territory. Like the lion, this enormous hunter lords over Mordor, striking terror into even the Graugs and great beasts of the Lithlud Plains. Really? Graugs are afraid of Caragors? Since the return of the Dark Lord Sauron to Mordor, even more powerful and savage examples of Caragors have appeared. These dire Caragors can be recognized by their pale color and superior cunning. Many Uruk beastmasters who gain status by hunting and exterminating wild Caragors have endured their days in the jaws of these fearsome creatures. There's a lot of... Can you even close your mouth on those tusks? You gotta have a very dry mouth, don't you? And your nose is very high up. I wouldn't want to be there. And we have just bats, I guess. Corrupted and bloated bats of the Mountains of Shadow have held vigil in Mordor since the Dark Lord's defeat. They leave the caves at night to suck the fluid putrescence from the corpses littering Mordor. Rotten flesh sticks in their teeth. That's a nice morning breath. Decaying, creating a lethal toxin which is prized by the Uruks. You see. The bravest of them journey into the caves to harvest the poisons and coat their weapons. Well, we haven't really had any problems with bats. Huh? The ghouls are the only predators of the bats? Yeah, we've shot quite a few bats. Great beast, what the hell is this? You have flappy elephant-like ears and then kind of fish fins? A head shield? What? A monster of this strength and size can, without reservation, be referred to as a great beast. A distant cousin to the Mumakil, these enormous quadrupeds can grow to 35 feet tall and make unrivaled beasts of burden for the Dark Lord's armies. How do you tame them, though? They looks like they could just stampede through your puny little camps. They are powerful enough that no creature, except perhaps for a Graug or a huge Karagor pack, can hope to bring them down. In the coming war, they will prove invaluable to the Dark Lord's growing armies, as both transport and a weapon. But instead they used elephants. And now we just get to weeds. There's one plant I don't have. So that's the nature part. What about the people? Let's find out a little bit more about the people. Talion is a Gondorian ranger. He was slaughtered on the Black Gate along with his wife, Yoreth, and his son, Dirhael. Talion did not find peace in death, however. He was cursed and resurrected by a powerful wraith who possessed his body and reforged him as an undying spirit of vengeance. Okay, so he was killed by the Black Hand, but somehow Celebrimbor is the one who cursed him and resurrected him? Okay. Talion's swordsmanship, speed, resistance, and training have all been augmented by the Wraith's presence within him, as though he himself possessed the power of one of the great rings. He can view the unseen world, lay his hand on his foes and exploit their fears or dominate their wills, making him a monster to the monsters. Talion is bound to Mordor, doomed to reside there until he can destroy the Black Captains who murdered his family, and face the Dark Lord who commands them. Well, the captains be dead. The Black Captains be dead. For sure. Because it was the Black Hand that killed us, and uttered the curse in the beginning. Was he at that point possessed by Celebrimbor? It was a little bit muddy there, isn't it? Oh, Hirgon! Hirgon of Tarnos was a ranger stationed on the Black Gate. Hirgon served the god faithfully, but fell in love with an outcast woman, Erin, and deserted, risking execution for leaving his post. Love prevailed. The two were married, and Hirgon lived among the outcasts, people who feared and hated his kind. When the Uruks invaded Udun, Hirgon's skills proved invaluable, and the outcasts often deferred to his experience. He was unable to stop his beloved wife from being captured by the Uruks and seeks desperately to rescue her, which we did. They were reunited. And the last we saw of him was when we stormed one of the gates, not the Black Gate, but the Southern Gate. We haven't seen him since. Will he show up in Shadow of War? I feel like there's more to his story. And here's the wife, Erin. Erin sang to the prisoners in lockup. She tended to their needs and fed them. Her father was the constable, a cold and hard man who served a rough justice. Her kindness softened many hard tempers, and she kept the peace as well as, or perhaps even better than, her father. Her fine singing attracted the attention of the ranger, Hirgon, and the two fell in love. So she was a singer, and so was Yoreth. Yorveth? Sorry, I completely forgot her name. Outcasts and rangers distrusted each other and sometimes killed one another. Erin, though, she married her ranger, and her pleasant nature overcame the scorn she received from her people. When Erin was captured by the Uruks, Hirgon was crushed, and Erin, even in captivity, knew her love would save her. Well, almost. A kinsman of her love saved her. There we go, Ioreth was the name. She was Talion's wife, Dirhal's mother and Halas's daughter. She was born and raised in Minas Tirith, where her father was a guard of the citadel. When she was 19, she and Talion fled Gondor together to build a new life on the frontier of the kingdom. She was killed along with her family by the Black Hand when Sauron returned to Mordor. Dirhal was Talion's and Ioreth's son. Born and raised on the Black Gate, Dirhal wanted nothing more than to be a ranger like his father and his grandfather before him. Alas, it was not to be. He was killed, along with his parents, by the Black Hand. He fought valiantly, however. I remember that. Rangers of the Black Gate. Gondor controlled the Black Gate for over 2 millennia after Sauron's defeat, with the Rangers keeping a watch over Mordor. The Rangers supervised the building of the Towers of the Teeth, standing guard over the Gondorian prisoners who would later escape into Udun and settle there. Over the centuries, the Rangers suffered greatly, their numbers whittled down by a great plague and an invasion by the Easterlings. Eventually, a small but hardened crew stood to man the watch, a brave few who were quickly overwhelmed when Sauron returned. That we were. We have wraiths. There are many restless spirits within Middle-earth who have not been able to find peace in death. Wights, wraiths, and ghosts of terror. Sauron the Necromancer calls to them all within the borders of Mordor. Should he rebuild his power and be able to command this lost army of the dead, he will be unstoppable. I don't remember seeing any wraiths, but I guess that was unlocked somehow in conjunction with something Celebrimbor. Uruks, the great orcs. What happened to Ratbag? He's down there, I see him. What happened to Ratbag? The Uruks. The Uruk is the elite of all the orc breeds. They are grown in huge vats as a leadership caste and are taller, stronger, better able to withstand daylight and more ill-tempered than the lesser orcs. They are captains and commanders, bred for war and determined to take back their homeland for the Dark Lord Sauron. They impose their will with brute force. They hate beautiful things and will not admit to any fears, revel in slaughter, and enslave any who stand in their path. They are certain their Dark Lord has returned to lead them to their destiny as the rulers of Middle-earth. The time of the Orc is at hand, except it wasn't. So, was every Orc that we fought here in Mordor, was everyone an Uruk, considering anyone could be a captain? Maybe. I've kind of used Uruk and Orc interchangeably, even though the Uruks are a different breed. Please forgive. Gollum. Hello. A pathetic creature, Gollum has all but forgotten his original name, Smeagol. He was a hobbit, corrupted beyond redemption by the power of the One Ring. Smeagol obtained the ring, affectionately called My Precious, through treachery, and took it to a new home under the Misty Mountains. Under the ring's evil influence, Smeagol lived for centuries, his mind destroyed and his body twisted into a pale skeletal form. The orcs he preyed on called him Gollum after his horrid choking cough, and the name stuck. Smeagol was no more. After 4 centuries, the ring grew restless and sought a new owner in the hobbit Bilbo Baggins. But Gollum has not forgotten his precious. He has journeyed into the Mordor to find it, drawn to the power of the Ringmaker. I do wonder why Gollum didn't kinda fade away once he lost the ring, because Bilbo had it for quite a few years. I wonder how he was sustained after being alive for 4 centuries. That is something I will have to look up, because I'm interested. I want to know why. I'm sure Tolkien wrote about it somewhere. Ratbag. Are you still just a war chief in Udun? Ratbag the Uruk craves power without knowing what he would do with it. He cannot heft a heavy weapon over his head, but he will, stupidly perhaps, attempt to claw his way to the top of Sauron's army by aligning with his people's great enemy, the Grave Walker. He has deluded himself into believing the Ranger will help him become a war chief, and, once he has power, he will be able to keep all that he has achieved. Well, we did help make him into a war chief. His many scars bear witness to his ineptitude and history of failure. He is a craven little thing whose only chance of success is in spite of himself. Maybe he will show up in Shadow of Mordor, not Shadow of Mordor, but Shadow of War. Maybe he'll be the nemesis there. Would have been kind of funny if he was the nemesis you fought and then kind of just lopped off his head without issues. Would have been very anticlimactic though. Uruk captains. They oversee the army and force construction demolition projects. Often carry the best weapons. Yeah, so they're basically there to be killed. The war chiefs, elite, the best of the best. Except that even Ratbag could infiltrate their ranks. A squad of bodyguards. Yeah, I had some problems with the war chiefs at first before I realized. Even though the game had told me to get rid of the frickin' bodyguards first. I thought I could just plow through. I could not. I could later on. War chiefs are generally avoid being seen. That was a really cool thing, that you actually had to lure them out by doing different stuff. Instead of them just wandering around. Yeah, I like it. Also, thank you very much, Shadow of Mordor, for not having to lure them out over and over and over. As long as you learned them out one time, that was enough. Executioners and slavers, we kind of know what they do, probably. Beastmaster, I want to know about Torvin. The dwarf hunter Torvin enjoys stretching a tail to its breaking point, and hunting. He and his brother, Gorvin, of course, left their home in the Orokarni to stalk Middle-earth's greatest prey. The trophies back up some, but not all, of Torvin's magnificent stories. He's often spoken with the reverence of an epic brawl with a Mumakil, and the many Ungol that have died by his battle-worn hands. You mean the tiny spiders that you can stomp on to crush? There's gotta be different sizes of Ungol, yeah? Now, Torvin has come to Mordor alone, seeking to bring down the mythical Great White Graug. He is fated, however, to meet the Ranger. He will teach his new ally how to strike terror into the hearts of his enemies by mastering Nirn's deadly beasts. Okay, sure. He has come to Mordor alone now. I guess he and his brother were here before. The brother died. I'm guessing he left, and now he has come back alone to finish what he started, and then Talibor got in his path and he got revenge. Lithariel. She is the daughter of Lady Marwen, Queen of the Shore. As an infant, she was the only survivor of a trading ship which fell prey to the raids of the tribesmen. Queen Marwen adopted the infant as a daughter, and she is now the first in line for the throne. No one questions Lithariel's authority. She grew up quickly among the tribesmen and have taken their values as her own. A tough warrior, so we saw. She kicked the ass of several Uruk. She is resourceful and honorable to a fault. She has never surrendered in battle, even when it cost those following her their lives. That is partly to be admired and partly to be not admired. I mean, standing by your principles is good, but sometimes surrendering is for the best. But I understand when you're in Urukland, surrendering is not really an option. Fighting against normal men, though, perhaps. We have the outcasts. the descendants of escaped Gondorian prisoners. Their forefather built the Towers of Teeth. Towers of the Teeth on the Black Gate many centuries ago. Their escape into Adun allowed them to create new lives for themselves. Even if the land was harsh and unforgiving, they were free. Now Sauron and the Uruks have returned, and there is no freedom to be found within the Land of Shadow. And only about half of them were saved by the Gravewalker, because the Gravewalker didn't feel like saving all the slaves. The tribesmen. They're descended from corsairs who settled the Sea of Nirn following Gondor's retreat hundreds of years before. As time passed, they gave up raiding and settled down to fish the sea and farm the land. However, they never gave up their warrior traditions, and when the Uruks came, the people of Nirn were able to put up a fierce resistance. Corsairs, you say? We have slaves. They are basically slaves. Look at who we have here. We have Celebrimbor. A shining light of the elves of the Second Age of Middle-earth. Celebrimbor was Lord of Eregion and the greatest elven smith to be found in the mortal lands. He was strong, fearless, proud, and unforgiving. But his pride was his undoing, and the undoing of his kingdom. He was seduced by Sauron in fair guise, and side by side they forged the Rings of Power. 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die. In secret, Sauron forged the One Ring, the Master Ring to control all the others. Celebrimbor stole the ring for a short amount of time before Sauron said, "Hey, get back here on my finger," and then he got smashed with his hammer and killed with his hammer, but not before he saw Sauron smash his little daughter to bits with his mace. That was brutal. Lady Marwen. Yeah, she looks way healthier now that she's not possessed by Saruman anymore. Marwen, daughter of Adrahil, is the queen of the tribesmen of Nirnen. In her youth, she dreamed of restoring the corsair traditions of her people. She wanted to go out raiding on the sea again. Leading raiding parties as far south as Harad, she was a fierce warrior and her crew regarded her with awe. After she adopted the infant Lithariel, she settled down to lead her people wisely. Recently, she became haunted by nightmares of the Tower of Sauron torturing her people. Seeking counsel, she turned increasingly to rituals and spent many hours in her room staring into the flames. In them, she heard a wise voice counseling her to seek out the Ringmaker. Only his power could save Nirn. Was that Saruman? If so, he did Sauron a disfavor there. He put Celebrimbor in his path. The hammer. That was a fun fight. The Hammer was once a man, a stretcher-bearer for Gondor, dedicated to retrieving the wounded. His life changed on the slopes of Mount Doom when he retrieved Sauron's mace after the Dark Lord fell. When he took up the weapon of Sauron, he realized that his life had been wasted in saving others who sought glory in war. If men wished to die gloriously in battle, he would grant their wish with pleasure. He became doomed to a bloodlust that would never be sated. He has waited millennia for the Dark Lord's return to Mordor, and now his purpose has been revealed to him. Ooh. Yeah, if you fight something evil, do not pick up any of their weapons or accoutrements. Leave it be. The tower. So, the hammer, we fought in just regular battle. That was freaking awesome. The tower, we stealth branded. That wasn't really much of an actual battle, per se. Was just sneaking around and then stealth branding him and then stabbing him. As the tower's evil has grown, so has his stature. He is trapped inside armor that will not grow with him, and his agony is exquisite. He was once a Númenórean, and as he can recall, he either built a tower or was locked inside one. Yeah, I can kind of see the stretching here. His appearance is horrific. To stand near him is to feel the revulsion he feels for himself. Even his fellow captains despise the tower, although they have come to rely on his great corrupting evil. His propensity for slaughter is unmatched. He makes his victims feel his pain, and he revels in it. Of the Black Hand of Sauron. The Black Hand is the greatest and most feared of the Black Captains. His mere presence on the battlefield spreads terror among his foes and servants alike. Some say he was once a great king from the east who brought Sauron the heads of 2 Istari as gifts. The Blue, but I don't think they were killed by him. Others say that he returned across the seas with Sauron after the fall of Númenor. Still others claim that he is the Dark Lord himself, once again taking fair form within Mordor. Well, he did suck in Celebrimbor and became Sauron's physical form for a moment. But he couldn't have been Sauron because Sauron couldn't manifest a physical form without the ring or Celebrimbor. And he was a physical presence before them. Well, we saw him in the beginning. He could have had Celebrimbor inside him then. But he was clearly physical enough to slice his own throat, so he cannot have been Sauron. There are many stories of his origins. All of them are lies. The only things which are certain are that he is the master of deceit, and that he serves his Dark Lord with absolute loyalty. So no killing of the Blue Wizards. No sailing with Sauron from Númenor. He's just there. Talons of the Black Hand. Yeah, they kind of died. My war chiefs made short work of them. While I was running around on a Caragor and just slicing left and right. I'm very surprised none of my war chiefs died. The Talons are the elite personal guard of the Black Hand of Sauron. The Black Hand was schooled in sorcerer's arts at the side of the necromancer, Sauron. And he personally draws forth the Talons from their spawning vats at Barad-dûr. They are tested in battle immediately after they are dragged, screaming into a world of anger, hatred, and fury. There are always 5 Talons, and whenever one falls in battle, his body is returned to the vats, where his death can feed the creation of his successor. If his corpse cannot be successfully carried back to Barad-dûr, then the remaining Talons are sacrificed in his stead. Damn. That is... Where's Talion there? That is not a job I would want. One of your co-workers dies, cannot get the corpse. Well, you now be sacrificed. There's the Black Captains. Yeah, we read about them. The Nazgûl were once Sauron's greatest servants. With their defeat by the White Council at Dol Guldur, the Black Captains have stepped in to fill the void. These are men of great evil, clad in black and doomed to undying service. Their purpose is to dominate Mordor. Sauron's power is spent, and he has retreated to the ruins of Barad-dûr to reforge his might for the Great War to come. Their original names are lost. Now each one of the 3 is an aspect of the Dark Lord's great evil. The hammer is Sauron's might in battle made flesh, the tower is his malice incarnate, and their leader, the Black Hand, is the master of lies. My mouth is getting a bit dry. And then we have the Bright Lord, Celebrimbor himself. Ooh, two undiscovered things. From the moment of its creation, the One Ring was a blazing beacon of unveiled power. The instant it was upon the finger of the Dark Lord, all of the wise became aware of Sauron's treachery, and there was war. Sauron's armies took Eregion, and he dragged Celebrimbor back to Mordor. The Elf Lord was forced to apply all his art and all he had learned at the side of the Necromancer to mask the blinding power of the One with subtlety. His role in bringing such evil to Middle-earth doomed the spirit of Celebrimbor to remain in Mordor until such time as he can confront his nemesis and find redemption. I mean, did we actually fight Sauron there? Not sure. He is a bit vague. So I don't think Celebrimbor has actually confronted his nemesis, and he has not found redemption. I'm a little bit worried about the whole time for a new ring. That sounded very evil. Hey look, it's the man himself. The Dark Lord Sauron claims Middle-earth as his rightful dominion. Only he has the power to bring order and halt the steady decline of this world since it was abandoned by the Valar. To preserve the world, he has convinced the Elf Lord Celebrimbor to work with him on the Rings of Power before forging the One Ring as master of all the others. He was betrayed when Celebrimbor forged 3 elven rings in secret. In his rage, he dragged Celebrimbor back to Mordor to make him reveal the location of these 3 and to perfect the one, only to be betrayed once again. Recently, he has been defeated by the White Council in Dol Guldur and driven back to Mordor, but he is determined that this shall be his final defeat. From here in Mordor, he will reforge his strength to conquer Middle-earth, for there are none with the power to oppose him, except a tiny little hobbit and his gardener and 7 others. Pride, pride, pride goeth before the fall. We have just a lot of things here. Is there... I want to know a little bit the Ithilden. Ithilden, also called Stormmoon, are ancient symbols that can be found carved into the living stone and ruins of Mordor. They are relics of an ancient kingdom, invisible to all but the Wraith, who can see into the unseen world. The Wraith within Talion can view and activate these symbols of power. More to the point, he feels a distinct connection with them. They are relics of his past. You are probably supposed to be reading these as they unlock. Mirian is basically just money. Yep. We have runes. What about Mordor? I think this is basically one entry I read in the very beginning. Land of Shadow, the home of the second Dark Lord of the Middle-earth Sauron. Mordor beckons the spirits and calls dark things to his twisted heart. It is home to many monstrous creatures, among them Caragors, Krogs, and the Ungol. Monsters neither the Uruks nor the Dark Lord have tamed. Its burning heart, Rodruin, Mount Doom, currently lays dormant, except now it has exploded. It has been still for thousands of years. Sauron's fortress, Barad-dûr, has not been fully razed and is cloaked from sight by a dark shroud. The Uruks have seized all of Mordor from the Black Gate to Nirn, hundreds of miles to the south. Many innocent people have been trapped with little hope of escape. And apart from the evil hawk things, it kinda looks like a nice piece of land. Except for the evil things and the lightning. Let's see, we have Udun, we have let's see about Mount Doom. Rodruin, better known as Mount Doom, is the greatest volcano in Middle-earth and is the fiery heart of Sauron's realm. It was in the Samath Naur chambers of fire. Within the mountain that Sauron forged the One Ring to dominate all of Middle-earth, and this is the only place where it can be unmade. Mordor has been dormant since the One Ring was cut from Sauron's hand on its very slopes. It will once more burst into flame when Sauron has rebuilt his power in the ruins of Barad-dûr. I think... yeah, it was cut from Sauron's hand, but... canonically... it was cut from Sauron's hand while he was lying dying, not while he was reaching down towards Isildur. I think if I remember right, it's been decades since I read the books, that Sauron was actually defeated, and then while he will lay dying, that's when Isildur cut the ring off. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter at all. Really. Barad-dûr. The Dark Tower has lain in ruins since it was cast down by Gondor after Sauron's defeat at the end of the Second Age. However, as long as Sauron survives, the foundations of Barad-dûr can never be destroyed. It is to these ruins that Sauron has retreated since his return to Mordor. Hidden behind a sorcerer's veil, he has begun to rebuild his power for the Great War of the Ring to come, which we know he will lose. The Gorthaur? Ooh. A mere glance at the Gorthaur is sufficient enough to instill dread in any human. This is more than an ostentatious representation of the Dark Lord Sauron's power. It is a statement of intent and a supernatural expression of his presence. A giant stone-carved Sauron, magnificently clad in armor, holds in his hands chains to which are tethered the subjugated kings of men. Gorthaur radiates contempt and power. Sauron's will built the statue just as it restored him to power after his defeat by Gil-galad and Elendil. Look upon me and despair, Gorthaur commands. And then we exploded it. Barrows, Durthang, Nurn, Sea of Nurnen. Rings of power. Tell me about that. So many rings of power. So let's say 3, 2, 4, 6, 7. We're missing a few. Because it was 3 for elves, 7 for dwarves, and 9 for men, right? 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. And this was made into so very many nice songs, or at least 2. The One Ring. It was forged for a single purpose, to give its lord dominion over Middle-earth. It is an obscene expression of the Dark Lord Sauron's will to power. The One Ring was forged at Orodruin by Sauron and perfected by his captive, the Elven Lord Celebrimbor. Sauron invested much of his power into the One Ring, and Celebrimbor, unbeknown to the Dark Lord, gave it a will of its own. The One Ring was used to destroy the elvish realm of Eregion. It raised the Black Gate and Barad-dûr. Gate and Barad-dûr. Its wielder seemed indomitable until Isildur cut the One Ring from the hand of Sauron at Dagorlad. It has been missing for more than 2,000 years. Now, it wants to be found. And there we have it. Those are the lore entries I kind of wanted to see and read about. This is the true end for Shadow of Mordor. Had a bit of a brain stall there, don't ask me why. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey through the entirety of Shadow of Mordor. Well, almost the entirety of it. There are still some slaves who are kept enslaved. Hope I'll see you again next time. But until then, you take care of yourself, alright?